So if, just as a warning, I really believe mostly the message is a warning. Wait, this is way in. So, all right, we'll keep it like that. You guys can't see me, eh? You can just see the little me. The little me. Yeah. You'll get a whole lot more out of little me than the big me. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. If you really have a sincere drive to transcend or to become enlightened or anything like this really isn't the meeting. I'm serious, because I'm just going to talk to what happened to me. I was, when I heard this message, because of the framing that heard it, it just seemed like a more refined, subtle way to get where I wanted to go. And it wasn't really where I wanted to go. I wanted to get out of something, not more, and that wanting to get out of something because of the dualistic movement. So there's really what's driving where you're moving towards, to me, is what you're moving away from. So there's this, what I was moving away from was the discomfort, the guilt, and all this shit that I felt around Paul. Yeah, and I had tried a couple of avenues, drugs and stuff like that, and then spirituality just seemed to be a natural progression, but the same drive was there in a way. And so after I saw some of the failings of what I was first introduced to, like a lot of action, and a lot of work, and a lot of purification, then non-duality. I heard non-duality, and in this framing, it just sounded like a subtler way. It sounded like a much, more for a slacker of my type. Not much, there wasn't much to do, So, but basically that urge to get somewhere or to have a better experience of something, which is rooted in this, was still predominant. And over the years, what's ever happened as an action figure, and the action figure is just an observation point, It's an effect, it's not the cause. It's an effect, and so it shows effects of causes. And so over the years, I'm here to tell you where this whole entertaining ended this up was exactly where, when I was younger, I didn't want to be. This is what being sort of here, when I saw it when I was younger, that was the motivation for all fucking seeking. I did not want to freaking be here. I didn't. So now I've ended up exactly where all of my spiritual ships were launched from this harbor, this port. And now I find myself right at the same freaking place. But the difference is everything is slowed down because acceptance is the state. The basic sort of space around the mechanism. Instead of that drive, I've got to fucking get out of something, I got to get into it by getting out of it that way, I got to get high, I got to change the feelings, I got to do this. This was like an urban renewal project that constantly it's like a military budget, it just kept getting more and more fucking money for shit that I didn't need. So this was it came to a point where, and for years, even in these talks, the action figure, even though it was hearing, oh, you're going to get nothing, you're going to get nothing, it really thought there was still going to be something in there. It was holding out for, no, I know it's going to be fucking great. I'm going to fucking transcend and everything. But then it dawned on it a few years ago, no, you're not going to get squat. And then, as an observation, I realized as soon as contentment and satisfaction became the norm, a lot of my supposed searches or journeys were just totally dismissed completely, And so by that happening, I realized I never wanted any of that in the first place. All I wanted, but the wanting, of course, was misconstrued and misdirected, but the wanting was exactly what was available at all times, right where I am. So the wanting gets quenched quite quickly. So the wanting doesn't demand more wanting. If this is what you're wanting, it's available. and it's available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary other than the ones you believe you have to fulfill. And hopefully in time, in the traction of time, all of those false treads get worn off. Yeah, you just realize, you know, all the bars that were set up that, oh, this has to happen, I've got to be like this for it to be accessed. You know, I was still the fucking canal lock. Yeah, so basically my position was more than that which is always available at all times. When I saw that wasn't the case, then that which I was hoping to find, I am, yeah? And therefore everything got pretty much halted, yeah? And now I look for shit I can find, I do. But I don't look for anything I can't find, you know? And one of the things I cannot find is what's looking, because I am in the state of looking. I am what's looking, yeah, at all times. So basically, I can't use time to arrive there because I'm already there, yeah. I can't use effort to produce it because it's unproducible. I can't move from it, so my relevance of having to move towards it is thrown out of the water, yeah. And the idea that I am a sufficient enough power, the I that I'm not, to obscure the freaking truth is totally baloney, yeah? Basically, if you follow, the only thing that could obscure reality to reality is reality. Reality would have to be entertaining that something that isn't so was so. And that's why it has to use time. Because the only way an impossibility can seem possible is in time. In timelessness, it's all obvious. But in time, it can seem, hey, it can seem to be so. I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm this. And a meaning, drenched in the meaning. But everyone, billions of positions are drenched in the meaning of self-centeredness, yeah? So there's nothing right or wrong with it. But if this is the driving point, if this is that which doesn't have a stable basis, that its life of experience is totally dependent on other conditions to be so, yeah? That it's always sort of on a tightrope, and the tightrope is extended in time, and therefore its concern for itself is valid in a way, because it needs shit outside of its own purview, yeah? And then what it gets, that work, may not work in 3 minutes, yeah? So that drink that made you feel better, after a couple of weeks of it doesn't feel better. That coffee ice cream, that was the greatest coffee ice cream, helped me so much. Then the next time, 3 weeks later, it doesn't do it, yeah? Nothing fucking does it. So you're constantly seeking to get some combination where you'll be okay, but it's sort of like building a sandcastle at the beach. Yeah? You get it all down, but then the high tide comes and freaking washes it away, or something erodes, like the left wall, you know. And so you're always trying to keep it as you pictured it. Oh, now I feel fine. But time changes conditions and circumstances. So what isn't a condition and what isn't based on circumstances and situations? This sure is, yeah? What is that? So it's, the obviousness is available right now. There is an event that precedes the narration of the event. The event is consciousness in contact. We're seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, yeah? And then after, in time, then there's the claiming of being the seer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. And everything else that comes after, right? Everything else that gets triggered by consciousness gets claimed by something that's even after that. So a thought arises. Without a thought arising, there would be no sense of a thinker. Thoughts arise, and the thoughts are used to imply a thinker, and that thinker is a thought. It arises also, but when it arises, it says it's been there and it's gonna be there. It gives itself a history that it doesn't deserve, yeah? And sooner or later, unbeknownst to us, there's a shift from living to an interpretation of living, and for a lot of us, that interpretation isn't that satisfying. But we can't get out of it because we've been bonded to it by being identified as that, yeah, as the center of the narration. And so when the only thing that really wants to get out of a body experience is that which is identified as a body. So this is the dilemma. So if that which is identified as a body wants to get out of body, that's just more body. Yeah, it's a fundamental flaw of the Chinese thumb puzzle. You can't get out. So if we're at a retreat today and we're chanting, I'm not a body, I'm not a body, I'm not a body, that which is claiming to be the chanter is the body. So the more it chants it's not a body, what gets reinforced? That it's a fucking body. So you can add days and hours, it's not going to change it. It's just going to geometrically progress in the reinforcement because it's a tiny little flaw. It's like that thing when computers came out and people were smart enough, they didn't rob a lot, they just took like a quarter of a penny out of every transaction. And after about 12 years, it was discovered, and they had amassed like millions of fucking dollars because no one who gives a shit about a quarter of a penny. Well, with trillions of transactions, it rises up, and then this is what happens. So here, you don't even notice the mistake because you're identified as it. Yeah. You know, you don't notice it because you're identified as it. Yeah. So now you start noticing everything else. See, you can be incredibly clear as a person, but you won't be clear about being a person. Yeah. You can be incredibly freaking clear. You can be having tons of freaking experiences of this and that, but there's still the sense of the one who's having the experiences totally in place. Yeah. And you're not going to change that which is before. Yeah. It's going to be the dominant point. You just see truly what's before, from what's before, and then you see the manufacturing of selfing, and let's just see where it goes. Just go there and see how it pans out over the years. I would say this, as an expression, will express something I call traveling lighter. Even though it has tons of predilections that if you looked at it logically, that person's going to have a fucking heavy go of it here, you know? This, da, 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 da. They're not ambitious, they're not fucking too much together, but you stumble and bumble through life and it seems to go rather well. Yeah, you're traveling lighter, and it's obvious it has nothing to do with your ability because you're really disabled dealing with life on life's terms, yeah? So something happens to this. This isn't what's promoting the change, it gets changed, yeah. And then you see the tree, you know the tree by the fruit, yeah. You start seeing, hey, shit, my life is demonstrating, hey, girlfriend has cancer. I get tons of accolades for being of help. I didn't do a fucking thing. I just held the space. I'm just there, hospital there, here, here, here. Oh, you were an anchor. I wasn't fucking anything. It just was there because I can't not be there. That's the whole point. I'm not an expert of how to get in the moment. I just realize I can't be out of a moment. That's how it works. Seriously, if you get that little flavor, it's seamless. That's how the whole thing has worked for me. I seemingly get to a place by realizing I was never in the place I was leaving from. Because the place I was getting to is exactly the place I am. Yeah, but I'm believing there's another place that's there. So my ships are always, like we say, I've collected tons of maps to get to LA from Omaha, but I found out I'm not in Omaha. I'm in LA. And there's no better way to be in Omaha than wanting to get to LA from Omaha. So I don't know what you may take it somewhere else. I haven't. I just chilled out ever since, and that's about it. So I don't really want anyone to take. I don't want to be misrepresenting what's happening here. This is not a refined spiritual fucking path. It isn't like, all right, you got your hit, now get to work. No, you got your hit and it's more than enough. I'll let the chips fall where they may. I don't want to be at the table anymore playing. I don't want to purifying and fucking like this. I just purified in the bathroom without much effort. There was a demand, I went in, thank God, and something came through. I must have ate something bad last night. Just right out, you know. So, now we were talking the other day.
It's really enlightening, huh?
People get these hits, yeah? It's amazing how many they are available. In one day, you'll see something or you'll see the magic of things and this and that. And we were talking, why isn't it gaining much traction? Yeah? Why is a profound free sample, and I mean a lot of us have had profound free samples. We've had extended epiphanies. We've had what we would call periods of awakening. Why the hell, if something's that profound and seems like it's the greatest fucking thing, why isn't it gaining any traction here? Why is it that you would think when you're seemingly tasting it that it would infect every other taste for the rest of your life? But then it's forgotten in an hour. You know, I remember I used to do retreats for 3 weeks, you know, in Thailand. Then you'd get a little like a tuk-tuk. It's like a little taxi from the temple. An hour or two. Fucking the thing is just going off. You know, just totally, it was like a minor speed bump to it. It just was not even, it's like, you know, when you go, it was just right back in the same seat. It's like 4 months worth. It's not, you hope it would get thrown out, but it doesn't even need to hold row bars. It just, it's like trying to get an ant off or something. They got incredible holding power. But there they are. It's like this. I mean, what's happening? What is the mechanism of the how? How is this happening here? Why not see it? You can. You can see that it's an act of being identified as something you're not. That's the stubborn mechanism, yeah? And its ability to keep causing that to appear to be so to us is by claiming everything that's happening. Every thought that is noted has a sense that it's about you or another you or you're the thinker, yeah? Every feeling has been claimed to be yours, yeah? Every action, they were my actions. And you live in a world like a court that only sees you by what you do, yeah? All this activity is sufficient enough, seemingly, to secure a bond that could never happen, which is what you are, forgetting what it is by taking yourself to be what it's not, to the point you start looking for what you are from what you're not. And that to me is, I believe, that's what I fell into when I would go into spiritual meetings. I felt in my own experience that fit me to a T. I was looking for what I am from what I'm not. There's some fundamental flaw there, yeah? I thought if I moved this close to what I thought some vague direction, maybe 5,000-year-old direction, if I just kept moving closer, I would arrive at what I am. My authentic self, whatever, being, whatever. But all the while, I'm exactly that. Looking for what I am from what I'm not. Well, all right. Do you want to keep hearing more about what you are? It's not going to work because you're hearing it as what you're not. Are you truly hearing it as what you're not? No. But the hearing gets claimed to imply it's you that's hearing. And it's fast. And before you know it, there's a feeling of you that had the epiphany, that it had nothing freaking to do with it. It was you that had that incredible peak experience. It was you that felt the love for that person or that teacher. It wasn't, and nor will it ever be. There was just love and this and that happening. Yeah? So if you see that reinforcing them on an identification that could never possibly happen would need a lot of opportunity to reinforce. Yeah? If a glue would not have a stickum, the only way you could appear for it to work would be constantly applying the glue. Yeah? Do you know what I mean? Because when you get to see it, it seems like it's together. But it isn't. It's a constant applying. Yeah? That's the selfing. Constantly applying, then it looks, when we become conscious, that's how we see it. I'm that. Yeah? Makes sense. But if you could just be there, you would see all it is this. It's not this. It's frozen in time and reinforced that it's this. But if you're seeing, you'll see it isn't. It's like this, constant application. Because there's never gonna be, what you are is never gonna be what it's not. It's never going to freaking be it. It can appear to be by this little magic trick. That's what happens. Why? If you would look at the life that we have called ours, and if you looked at a lot of the weird things that ever happened, you would see the footprint of my there. My problem. Oh, I'm up on stalking charges because I kept breaking into my girlfriend's emails. Yes? Oh, a problem has an incredible power to destroy me when it's my problem, because a lot of people have the same problem you seem to be having. They don't seem to be destroyed by it, but then suddenly it's my problem. Then there's a huge juice in there. And then people who are really good at this, the mental state, every time my problem arises, it's the problem. There's been no other problem like this one. And I said, wait a minute, I've been listening to you for 3 years, and the last the problem was called Marjorie, and now the problem is Vicky, but it's the same fucking the problem. No, this is different. Yeah, Vicky and Marjorie. There's no difference. So there's no way you're gonna get any relief when you have the problem. Because no one can understand it, no one felt it, no one's had it. Yeah? It's unbelievable. You can watch the system of the selfing defend itself. It's like fucking, why does that guy who got O.J. Simpson off? It's like that. It's like a fucking really fast-talking lawyer, but if you just sat with it, you'd see it's totally insane. Totally freaking insane. So we are, unbeknownst to us, our faith, what we are, our power as belief as what we are, not who we are, is being transferred to the mental processes agenda through my. Yeah? My thoughts, man. My thoughts can, a thought, maybe if you could catch it and hold it, it would be an ounce. My thoughts a pound. Yeah? Feeling, yeah, come and go. My feeling, a lifelong fucking blog, you know, with thousands of followers. Yeah, my action, all right, action, you can make a mistake. My action, fucking sin. Fucking guilt for 40 years. You don't see it. We're in the act of dreaming. And if you waste any time to try to convince the dreamt that it's dreaming, forget about it. Just know that this message isn't directed at you. It's directed at what we are. Because I realized early on, to talk to you about what you are goes nowhere. To talk to what you are about you goes somewhere. And so that's the direction of the meeting. You don't have to get it because you already got it way before any getting was needed. Yeah. All you have to do, have a little faith, come to the satsangs, or don't, do it wherever it works with you. Let it hit, and sooner or later, one of them is going to get through the massive defense system, and so that the Buddha is going to get the message. You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. You getting the message, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, goes nowhere. It just creates more fucking, now you'll stop meditating when it's being helpful and your blood pressure went down. Oh, I can't meditate anymore. This is all bullshit. Yeah? No. Know that the hearing of the message is happening. Yeah? Because you can't miss everywhere. You don't have to throw your voice. It's everywhere. Yeah? So everywhere has gotten the message. The spiritual subpoena has been served. And you know what? I have so much faith in it. I don't believe we need intensives. I don't believe we need retreats. And if you believe this is going to be the starting point of your great spiritual journey, then go fucking ahead. Yeah? But I'll tell you, you'll travel lighter even in that. So it's in seeing what you're not. It's in understanding what you're not. You're experiencing what you're not all day. It's seeing what you're not. Studying what you're not. You don't need much of that. Understanding what you're not. Instead of trying to understand everything from what you're not, study what you're not. See if it's you. If it isn't you, what will happen? If you don't believe in the central idea, if you don't believe in the central idea, it withdraws interest from all that's being used to reinforce that idea. Yeah? Because there is no idea without what's reinforcing it. So when you lose interest in self, it isn't a vague little fucking idea. You lose interest in all that's being used to reinforce the idea of self. So you lose interest in thoughts. You lose interest in feelings. You lose interest in actions, yeah? You're not that fucking important. Yeah. And in that losing of interest, when you take the light away from the projector, what it projects is sort of fucking, you can see right through it, yes? It's sort of like, what's that? It's a vague little idea. It's like an outline. It's not fucking flesh and blood and all the meaning. Yeah, because the light has been removed. And where we are the light. We are the light moving through here. Either it's being claimed by the mental state to project its own idea of what's happening, or it's being allowed to go through. And if that's what's occurring, the only way you'll know it is by finding it out. Yeah? You'll find out what it's like to be what you are here. You'll find out what it's like. You can't know it because you are it. You can't study it because you are it. You can't experience it because you are it. You have no other option but to be it. So let's say if I went to the spiritual marketplace, I would make sure that was ever presented to me at that time had this in place, which is, it's a seeing of what you're not a looking for what you are. Yeah? Because the presumption, if you're looking for what you are, you believe you are that which you're looking from. I think that's the robbery. I don't believe it's true. So you look at what you're not from what you are, and just have the truth be told. Yeah? And if you lose interest in thoughts and feelings and actions, which you can't do through interest. You can't get interested as this to lose interest in this. It's just more interest in this. Yeah? You've got to get over that little trap, because there's a trap. Okay. And what happens is you now attempt to try to become a non-self as a self. Yeah? You want to be a little less of Paul, but still be Paul to enjoy the lessness of Paul. It doesn't work in my view. So you can't set out to lose interest. That would be interest. Yeah? You just lose interest by seeing it's not you. Yeah? Just like you would lose interest in a conversation in another room, if you realize they weren't talking about you, you'd lose interest like that in it. The conversation could still be going on, but you wouldn't be interested in it exactly. The conversations, the interpretations, the narration will still be going on, but you'll lose interest in it. Yeah? Which means your interest is what? Available. Yeah? When? Wait a minute. Where? here, when, now. Yeah? And so it can be available. You see beautiful things, cloud formations, this or that, little animals. If you stop and look at a little square of ground for 30 seconds, there's a whole thing happening now. And you'd be available, present, and you'd be of service. Simple as that, almost as a nature, as a state of nature, not as some kind of discipline or vigilance. Yeah. And your attention and interest would find more value in being dispersed than in being focused and concentrated. You just feel a lot more with a big open lens instead of constantly, because every time you go like this, on the other lens it goes like this. It's all about fucking you. So yeah.
But if you really have an interest, losing interest, you can't control that. And then you're just putting another layer of stuff. Because I'm trying to not really have interest. So, yes.
Well, I'll tell you, it's great to be in the conundrum because it will show you the failedness of the system that's being applied. Yeah. That's a very, to me, rude awakening is probably the first phase of, well, there's no awakening, but let's just say it was more of a rude awakening. You just see, hey, I had this one time when I was young, I got run over by a car, and I was going into these hallucinatory states. I think because they were giving me a certain pain medication, and I'd been an opium user, and so I think it triggered hallucinatory states or whatever. So I would go into these states in this hospital bed, and I could fly, and I could fly through people. And I remember I had a guru when I was younger, and I saw tons of videos that were never made of him in these dreams, tons of them. And there was a meeting he was having with, and he had kids with everyone that followed him had kids. And they were in Florida, and I flew down there, supposedly from East Meadow, Long Island, from a hospital bed. I flew down there, and I was flying around the room, and people obviously were flipping out. And I said, don't worry, and I fly through people. And then I landed on the die where he was, and I looked at him with like the essence of misdirected spirituality. Hey, what's up, you know? How's the truth? How can I get the truth? And he had this little curl in his mouth, and he went, you're too fucking complicated to get it. And it was such a bumming out feeling, because I figured all my little, like, those little machines that pick up shit, all this could not get that, because I didn't realize that was this, yeah? So you know what I mean? All my mechanisms of knowing and getting and trying to understand could not pick up what's always available at all time. And it was fucking crushing, unbelievable. So then I split. I came back and I woke up in my bed, hospital bed. Then I went back down again, and they gave me money to come back to Florida. And I woke up in the hospital bed, and I was looking for the money. And I had the nurse, who took the money? And the nurses were acting like, oh, we'll help you, Paul. And then I said, and I went out again. I flew back down. They gave me a ticket. And I flew back up, and I lost the ticket again. Where's the ticket? And I go, all right, this is getting a little ridiculous, Mr. Hedderman. So then I went out again, and I went down there, and then I was in this group, and they were holding me by my legs, and the nurses, two nurses, white arms were pulling me up into the reality. And I was like, should I stay or should I go? And I went yes and I woke up in the hospital bed, and I never had another one of those things. What a bad mistake. If I had a do-over, I think I would have stayed and I could fly. So, really that's the invitation. Like people say, what's new in non-duality? There's nothing. It's a simple fact. You entertain it, see where it goes for you. Yeah? To me, it's really like, if a shoe fits, you wear it. That's all. So this is like a spiritual shoe store. try these on. If they fit, that there's a recognition that's already there. All the preliminary work has already been done. You have tons of information of a failed system and everything like that. All you need is the right shoe to trigger it, and you sit here and go, wait a minute. Sort of sounds like my whole life since 6 years old, self trying to get out of self, or I've been, using the Buddha to seek the Buddha, guilty of that and all this, yeah? So this is what happens. And then see where it takes you, because now I truly believe at that point, the horse has been put in front of the cart, and see where you go from there, yeah? Because the main mistake, which never actually ever happened, it just seemed to happen, is the horse has been behind the cart. So it gets placed in, and then see if it fits. And man, suddenly you have statements that fit like a glove, and you realize these are the shoes, yeah? And you just keep entertaining. And in my case, as this figure, as an expression, that entertaining did not lead to anything new. It actually became the last answer. And I haven't looked for any other answer, or turbocharged answer, or a radical extreme answer, or the nouveau answer of the year. None. And so to me, the last answer is an incredible answer, because it negates all need for answers, which is fucking awesome. So, yeah. And so this is what we do, just a meeting in this little ammonia-soaked room, and another one in the city, and basically that's what you get. Because really I have total faith in mind. I don't think you need to, I really don't. Why would you want to pay $150 for an intensive? Today's intense enough, fuck. Every day here is intense, I think. And we're in Marin. Go to Newark if you want intensity. Newark, New Jersey. Give me $100. I'll give you a bus ticket. Go to Newark and you'll be in an intensive. And you realize most retreats aren't in Hoboken, New Jersey. They're in Hawaii, Costa Rica. So, but there's nothing wrong with any of that. I'm just feeling like, I think you've got enough of those things offered, yeah? Why not see? See, I believe humbly, this is not a path to illumination. I think this will illuminate whatever path you're on. I believe you are the light you've been searching for. I do. I believe you've been using what you are to find what you are through the auspices of what you're not. Yeah? All that needs to be corrected is see what you're not. And that mistake is easily corrected because it never really actually happened. Yeah? And so the dreaming takes a new turn, where now you're traveling light as the basis of your day, not as the goal of your day. Yeah? You're not shooting for, I want to feel like I'm traveling light. You're starting there every day, in and out. And you never get gypped ever again. You don't believe, you're just here, completely sleeping, awake. You're like more established than like a rock. You're just fucking there. Yeah. So, that's that. Any questions? No? Oh yes? Hey, that's your quota now, too. Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of turbocharged, but...
Really?
I went to a hackathon for this building robot for Burning Man. And there was
A hackathon?
A hackathon where they spent 24 hours trying to figure out how to build the robot. Really smart people.
I thought it was hacking into
It's a
things.
Burning Man thing.
Oh.
Anyway, so there's a guy there who's like the head of the X Prize Avatar who's built it's almost like a spiritual thing. Since he was 6, or 3 or whatever, his mother was writing a science fiction book when he was in the womb. In any case, he's written a book on avatars. So he's got people, I mean, he's not only written a book, he's got 22 million views.
What is having her be writing, she was reading science fiction when she was in the room? Where's the connection?
Well, I mean, it's, okay, I'm going somewhere. So anyway, I open up this book, he's talking to people, and it's non-duality. I mean, he's talking about how our five senses are really not like in this locality as it seems, and it could have been Ramana's book, it could have been Nisargadatta, and so I explained it to him. He said, yeah, I'm a humanist, it had nothing to do with technology, but I mean, it's so deep I can't really understand it, but I guess the question is, and it's completely contradictory what you just said, where everything's fine as it is. I mean, these, using technology to kind of push the unveiling or seeing, or what do you think of the, you're looking at me like
No.
I'm not aware of this question.
Hey, if you were going to be here, if you were dreaming in time, there's going to be given meaning and purpose to things. So it's great to have a purpose here. Do you see what happens to people as an action figure when they have no purpose? They go a little too cynical, get morbid. Or you watch people who had a purpose as their job and then they retire. A lot of them kill themselves. The action figure brings out a healthiness. So fucking what a great thing to make up. We're gonna use technology to push the fucking frontiers. Far out, it's better, it's a nice one. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I just wouldn't believe it completely. Yeah, just so you could wear it loosely, yeah. I mean, I have little purposes, but they're very meager because I know I watched in this life when my head thought something was noble, whoa, it added a lot of meaning to that. In other words, almost like it added a lot of surface to it so it would get a bigger reflection of itself. So I saw that early on. Yeah, so I thought spirituality was more noble than a lot of other things. And let's say I'd be doing something, working, doing some Tai Chi, and my girlfriend was expressing love. I say, not now, I'm busy, gotta keep practicing. And I go, what a fucking idiot. She was like, let's go hanky-panky or something. No, I've got to. So get a little righteous, yeah, seriously. So if I had a big, important project like that, my head probably may explode, I don't know. I like it meager, like, my big goal is to get a good coffee, Thousands of people succeed, I succeed, whoopee. This is my master plan. I don't have any. Just basically, raw food or raw dessert or something. So my head has been starving for years. It can't make much out of my life, the life I have. It really can't. It can't. It does not. The dolls are very small and they don't have much meaning. So it's just sort of, yeah. It's working. It worked with me. Yeah. So everything's great, sure.
So if you can make up a good purpose, go with it, because there really isn't.
Well, you don't want to fuck it with that statement. Just go with it. The action figure. I mean, why do you want to ruin the action figure for the action figure?
It was already ruined.
Yeah. See, that's a dilemma by thinking you're the one who heard all this. See, thinking when the action figure is the depository of all that you thought you've heard, it doesn't work well for it. Yeah. Look at what happened. The typical movement with non-duality, the mental state claiming it. This was the example I always use, which was, I was living in Australia. I'd just been entertaining this, reading Ramesh Balsekar, seen him, had some understanding, which is very dangerous. And my girlfriend was going out. She said, hey, Paul, do the dishes, when I'm gone. So she came back and dishes weren't done. She goes, Paul, why didn't you do dishes? Well, there is no Paul. No one to do the dishes. And she said, fuck you, do the dishes. So my head went in that phase of trying to make something out of non-duality, but like the desert tortoise and the coyote, it couldn't get much out of it. So it lost interest in it, which was awesome. Because if this gets interested in any little journey you're on, it's going to divert the journey big time. I really believe it gives, you think your destination, the package of you is destined to go somewhere else, you've already been sent to another place without knowing it, yeah? But if you can divert its jumping in, then things have a chance to sort of gain traction. And to me, it was in the ordinary way was a nice way for it to gain traction, yeah, because I wasn't doing much to write home about, you know, just, you could not write a blog about my day. It's like, it'd be a long pause, then 12 p.m., ding, had granola with cashew yogurt, then another long pause, ding, 3 o'clock, you know. No, I had no followers, you know. But I'm going to Peru to paint my face, fucking vipers and doing ayahuasca, man. I'd have tons of followers, yeah. But, yeah. The ordinary way is a good way to keep the little mental state subdued, yeah. You can't make much out of nothing. If you keep supplying nothing to it, it cannot make much out of it, and therefore it gives up and loses interest in it, and then that the obviousness can become obvious. Yeah, that desire for it to become obvious to you is dismissed, and then it becomes obvious as you. This urge for it to become obvious to you, so you can kind of sort of apply it and get something out of it, gets lost, and now it becomes obvious as you, as, just not even you, obvious as. And I'm just sharing I'm sharing about that and then watching effects of that in time. And I'm trying to point out pitfalls that have been pointed out. And I'm just trying to explain how the seamlessness of the logic it reveals. Yeah, the seamlessness of it. Because that has been downloading for many years now, and it's seamless. It never loses the point by trying to attain the point.
So where do your downloads come from?
I don't know. It's just a way of expressing something here. It's not like I have a little file that goes download, ding, and something comes in. It's more of a way of expressing that which is very difficult to express. Yeah.
But they're kind of periodic, right? It's not like a constant download. It's like, you talk about it as a periodic phenomenon. Or non-phenomenon, whatever you want to call it.
Well, the ones that are going to be transcribed into some expression, yes, but the downloading is all the time.
Okay.
Because it's not, it doesn't stop, it's more of a circular, and it's not even circular, it's just a constant moving, like that. Then certain stuff gets scribed or translated to try to express a point at these events. When I'm not at these events, that's not happening. Yeah. There's a reliance on that thing, so anytime there's the possibility, you jack right into that. It's not like you have to find it or it stops or anything. So there's just a jacking into it. And then that which is just sense felt tries to get said. And the direction over the years has been proven to be rooted in the idea of negation. That's very sound from a lot of old writings, and I'm a true believer of that in a way, as a way of expressing it here. I do not believe, and it's all based on what's happening, which is the act of being identified as what you're not. That's what predicates the negation. Yeah. If that wasn't there, then you would be in constant affirmation of it. You wouldn't have to affirm it. You'd be the constant affirmation of what you are. Yeah? But because there's an identification as what you are not, yeah? And it has been shown that it's sufficient to cause that which you are to start looking for itself, which is fucking completely insane. Yeah? So to me, there's a correction that's needed. There doesn't need any more targets to be put out and more 5,000-year-old arrows. It's about who's the fucking archer, you know what I mean? Just see if that assumption that presupposing of you as some kind of thing that can do and have and think and see and feel, and you're the cause and the arbiter of this life, to see if it has any traction, truthfully. And if it doesn't, yeah, you'll start having a sense of finding out what you are by seeing what you're not. And then that's correct. Yeah, that's, oh, all right. Now I have arrived at where I've always been, yeah, but I arrived there by seeing what I'm not, then instead of looking for what I am, yeah? Yeah. So these whole talks hit a point which was expressed by Ramana and other teachers, and Ramana says it in a lot of different ways. People send them to me, but I forget where they are. So I use the one that I remember, which is the presupposing of a non-existent thing, wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing. And if that's the case, the spiritual practices themselves will be used to reinforce the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? I pretty much believe that's the correction right there. Right in 2 sentences. If you have the eyes to see or the ears to hear, it's all in there, right there. That's the shoe. The shoe is this. There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing that once it gets salvation from a non-existent thing, put it on. All right? Once you put it on, then the next part goes, hey, when that shoe's been on, the one you just took off, then suddenly when those shoes are on, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the fucking shoe that you're hoping they would get you out of. Yeah? There you have it. That's the correction. And then when the correction occurs, it tells you it's always been that way. So there was no need for a correction. There only seems to be a need for the correction when there's a sense of being the problem. Yeah? Once the correction hits you at a certain time, it tells you it's been all the time. So did it actually hit you at a certain time? Because when it hits you, it negates that it hit you at a certain time. That which you wanted to arrive at as the goal tells you it has always been available at all times. So was it a goal and did you arrive at it? Obviously not. Did it look like that from here? Yes. Did it? Was it? But does it look like that from there? No. Yeah. If this doesn't work, try other things. And hopefully, if they're worthy, they'll show you that they're failed. And in that showing that you're failed, you'll be weaned off of that system, and maybe you'll find yourself right where you've always been at all times. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sagarata says the same thing in a different way. He says, don't look for any right ideas. There are none. Don't look for the mind to get you out of the mind, because it just cannot happen. And it's, to me, it's exactly the same as what you're saying, that you can't let the mind try to lead you out of the mind, because it ain't gonna happen. It's just gonna get you deeper into believing, the concepts that you conjure. Otherwise.
See, the thing though, sends people, if they hear it from the action figure, then it sounds like there's something they have to do. No, it doesn't. This isn't getting out of this. You just see it. It's going to be trying to get out of it all day. That's what it does. Why? Who would want to watch Die Hard 12? Really? You saw the whole plot in the first one. Because we're trying to get out of something all fucking day. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. That doesn't learn a better way to get out. You just realize you're not that. Yeah? Are you burning down houses? No. Well, no attention there. Yeah? Are you fucking around killing people? No. You don't need to be observant there. Just see what you're not. And the thing is, this is the dilemma. People get a free sample, and then the next complaint they have, when is it going to stabilize? The only fucking thing that wants stability is what isn't stable. It's not you. Those drives are not you. Every presentation that arises as you is not you. There's no need to deny it. You don't have to fight it, you just see it's not you. And then actually, it's so much better for the action figure. The action figure has a hard time living up to being the center of the universe. It does. It's having way too much attention on it. It's sort of like that light of the sun, which is great if it isn't concentrated, but if it's concentrated, it can incinerate you. The mental state is like a magnifying glass, just using the light of all lights and just directing it on fucking insane ideas. The body isn't going to be the celestial chariot to the fucking gods. It's going to be eaten by your pet dog if you die at home. It is. So this is more and more what happens. Is it the great revelation of what you are? No, it's the great revelation of what you're not. You see more and more of what you're not, and then there's more and more of the sense of the seeing. Yeah? So in a weird way, you back into what you used to try to drive into. You back into it by seeing what you're not. Yeah? And then the car gets turned off because you're right. The horse is in front of the car. You found your parking space, and then life fucking continues. Okay, no more questions? I'm getting riled up now, ready to go for hours.
No.
For hours, man.
No.
Yes.
I'll ask a question.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Integrity and honesty, right? So is that's only something that the action figure would worry about or think about, and like there's like the action figure thinks that that it has all these needs and it has to manipulate and calculate and right?
I don't know. It can. But the action figure itself can realize the statement of supposedly Jesus Christ, that hey, you put that which you are ahead of everything else and other things will be taken care of.
Right.
Yeah, the action figure can understand that.
And that's what one learns through service, right? Or
It could be learned in a lot of ways, but yeah, service is a tried and true one, yeah. The action figure, you want to, for me, as a limited expression, it's levels, there's certain levels of, let's say, surrendered, empathy, service. See, it's weird to profess honesty when you're living in dishonesty. It's so made up that you're the fucking center of the universe. But whatever, so yeah. After dishonesty is not looked at, then of honesty, they'll be honest about how you feel, but they're not how you feel at all. Most people don't know how they feel. They're feeling, some people fucking think excitement's nervousness. I'm fucking anxious. No, you're excited. You're going on a fucking vacation. Yeah, but, I mean, really, you're obsessed. 50 years, you can't even recognize what the feelings are. I mean, whatever. But yeah, in a way of life, as an action figure, there's a lot of principles and a lot of ways that can allow an action figure to live with integrity, so to speak. Yes, this isn't the place for it. This is a different meeting, but yeah. I like it when it just happens in a certain organic way. Yeah, where you start expressing integrity, but you weren't looking to have integrity. Yeah, you just start seemingly expressing integrity. I like that. And I feel that has happened with this action figure for sure. Yeah. We all know it. This isn't, you know it, you've seen it. You've sensed it. It just hasn't been able to gain traction here. Because there's an activity going on. Yeah. Oh, Z, I thought you had a question. You can have all the questions you
Sure.
want.
Would it be
That's a piece.
correct to say that, in line with what you were saying before, that you can never know the things, that through negation is the best way to express it, that you can never know what you are, you can only be what you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are being it right now.
Of course, right.
And
Can't help it.
in the being of it, there's an apparition that doesn't think so. And that's
Right.
also in it, yeah? There's
Part of
a
the
narration going on that's not based on that. It's based on another idea. And so that's the ride you're on, in a sense. And of course, a lot of us want to get out off the ride, but see, we think this is on a ride. This is the ride. This isn't on a ride. This is the ride here. This is the roller coaster. It may get on roller coasters, it may get off roller coasters, but this is the roller coaster unbeknownst to us. Of course, so you want to get off the ride, but you want to get off the ride as the ride. You know, so like a car wants to get out of the car. Is it ever going to be successful? Just so you're not the car. And then maybe you realize there's no need to get out. That's really being out. You lose all interest in getting out. Seriously. If I could tell you as an expression, since I was a kid, as the expression, I have been wanting to get out since I was like 5, 6 years old. Yeah? And I feel now it's finally expressing the success of that, but it never was successful getting out. There's been a realization it was never in, basically. That's how it worked for me. As an expression, how it worked for me, the greatest escape was realizing there was nowhere to escape from, basically. So it was, the drive to want to transcend an imaginary place has been dismissed. You can't transcend an imaginary place. You can't get out of an imaginary place. And your wanting to get out of it is giving it a reality. Yeah? The place you want to get out of is being made up by wanting to get out of it. So that was all suspended, all done. It doesn't come up for review every few years. It's finished though. And basically, I'm completely here. Yeah, which is a miracle, because that's the last fucking place I wanted to be. Seriously. So, if you want to call that a spiritual path, it's been successful. Yeah.
I
Yes.
heard it.
But
What you're describing, I have 3 born-again Christian sisters. It's pretty much, although there's a lot of hype with it, but it sounds like what they're talking about when you're saved.
when they're saved,
When you're saved as a born-again Christian, there's nothing you can do, there's no, it could be what you just described, only you don't have a term for it, but it's, which just kind of goes with truth is truth, no matter if you're talking about it from any of these different.
no, it's not that way. Because they may be, I don't know where they're at, but there's an identification
Oh, they're
as
screwed
the
up.
born again. See, there
And
you
I'm
go.
at the core-
See,
at the core
there's
of it.
salvation here. There is salvation here. A salvation that lasts in time when there's a true belief in it. But the true salvation is from the fucking believer,
Right.
not for the believer.
Person.
So yeah, it can look like you're free for maybe 30 fucking years, but it isn't. Yes? Because there's still that sense is going on that you're the one who's fucking free. See? This is what the whole point is. All the operations don't get to the nub of it all. They just want to release some of the pain or the dis-ease. So by believing this or having faith in that, they get a way to travel. I have that with AA. That's sufficient for the action figure. But then there's still the act of claiming to be the one that's being, and I'm more interested in that than I'm in being saved, to tell you the truth, as Paul. I'm much more interested in, is there a Paul? Yeah, yeah. And it's not going to be, you're not going to be saved from an imaginary thing. You're not going to be saved from an imaginary thing. You just see that it isn't so, and then it goes, it isn't so, it never was so, and it never will be so. Yeah? If it hits you, it tells you it's always been this way. It doesn't, there is not one little possibility that you could have deterred anything, or you made any imprint on the sky, or you left a lasting cloud up there for years because you were mad or bad to your younger kid. You tried to strangle your brother in the bed. None of that fucking, not that I did. None of that happened. None of that's left any marks whatsoever. See, to me, you hear something like this, what does it imply? Go with that. Do not take the sentence as the sentence. It hopefully is like a diving board that gives you a oomph, and then dive and see where you land. Not you, but see where the mind, what the mind dives into. The board has a very, very small role. It's the entertaining of mind. That is it. Yeah, big mind. All right, that's that. We'll pass the basket before my friends fall asleep.